better get back, as it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Welcome to Mostly Horror Movie Night.
Mostly.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Sean.
And that's us. How's it going, Sean?
It's going, you know.
It's going.
Yeah. Living the dream. Very tired.
Yeah. At least it's nice outside. So
yeah, dude.
Or
when
nice,
I tell you,
it was nice today at least.
Yeah, when I tell you that I walked outside and was just like, oh, thank God, I can almost like the depression kind of lifted a little bit. It's still there, but it wasn't hugging me as tightly, you know. But I am excited about one thing because I walked outside. I was gonna go get a coffee, and I get to I look at my mailbox because at this point I just have stuff showing up all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And dude, I see like a thing that's like a tube, and I'm like, it goes in tubes. Prints go in tubes. And dude, my Tim Jacobus prints came in for everybody,
nice.
Right? And they're honestly awesome.
And it's signed. It says "Thanks, Sean."
Yep.
Oh, those are really nice prints.
Right,
Holy crap,
dude. And they're big. The only problem is I have literally no fucking space in this room. I'm gonna have to like move stuff around to make these work. But God damn it, they're going up. Super excited. I just want to. I know that people are listening to this episode after that episode, but if just a reminder, everybody go check out Tim Jacobus's website, grab some prints because $10 from every print sale goes to some food drives that like COVID relief stuff, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool, and that obviously shows that those are worth it because those are what 16 by 16 or something like that. Like
they're big. It was like $20
really
a print. I know that $10 of it went to helping people. The other 10 is just helping him produce these. And now I have a signed print by one of my favorite artists. It's super cool. It's super cool.
So if you're listening to this, definitely go check that out. Also, if you're listening to this, just kind of want to throw. We obviously have a YouTube channel. If you're watching it right now on YouTube, awesome. Thank you. An Instagram and a Twitter. Follow us. We post our top fives that we do at the end of every episode. Well, almost every episode except for episode 4. And so you can choose, who you think won, who had the best top 5, that sort of stuff. So talk about the movies that you're watching because we'll be posting the movies that we've watched every week or some stuff that we're watching. So definitely follow us on those. It's at Mostly Horror on Twitter and at Mostly Horror Movie Night on Instagram. Definitely follow us on those.
Yeah.
The other thing that we want people to do is send us your horror stories or your horror origin stories.
Please.
Basically, the first time that you ever watched a horror movie.
I'm so curious.
Yeah, exactly. We actually have one that I want to read that we got sent to us.
Perfect.
I won't say the full name, but by Shlee.
Shlee, I know Shlee.
And you know Shlee. So
I do know Shlee.
It reads, "Hey guys, it's Shlee. Welcome to my novel. I don't really have a first experience with horror, but I could tell my story growing up around it. My earliest memories were all about movies, especially old B flicks. I remember growing up in LA, my dad used to edit B flicks, especially stuff starring Linnea Quigley. We were constantly watching things like Aliens, Chucky, and The Leprechaun. Obviously, you watched a lot of mainstream movies as well, but the fact that a 6-year-old is watching stuff like this wasn't really a normal thing. A lot of them scared the shit out of me, but I wanted to impress my dad and my older brother, so I sucked up and watched them anyways. But these kinds of movies were always part of my life. As I grew older, I fell away from the horror movie scene since I didn't have anyone to enjoy them with. But a few years, I said, fuck it, and I just started enjoying them by myself again. So I've been kind of reclaiming my past and consuming as much as I can and catching up, which I feel is like something we always do, is trying to watch as many as we can. She says, I also have stories about my best friend's stepdad being Jean-Claude Van Damme's stunt double, my mom almost running over Bob Saget with her car. And also the kid from Jurassic Park went to our church. His name was Whit Hetford, or they used to call him Whoopi. She said, I don't know, my life has been weird as fuck. They also filmed parts of Three Ninjas right next to our apartment complex, and it was one of the best things ever. That was all on kids. Sorry for the long ass email, but I'd love to be on the podcast. Shlee. Thank you, Shlee.
Thank you so much.
The email has all the important parts of the story. Running over Bob Saget.
Right. That must have been. I wonder how I really kind of want to know more about that interaction. That's so funny. I have not seen Three Ninjas, but I've heard a good amount about it. I know it's like a kind of a culty B flick, but that's so funny. I also the watching when you were a kid thing. I know we kind of touched on that before, but I like when my little sisters were really little. I'm talking like 7 or 8, probably even younger than that. That's when I was really diving into horror. Or I guess I had been in it for a couple of years, and I used to wonder, like, is it okay for her to be sitting here watching this?
Are
Like,
are there lasting effects?
Straight up, my little sister Alyssa watched the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street with me, and that was like the first moment where I was like, but she was fine, and she was
good.
About it. I think, yeah, I don't know. So
that's good.
yeah. I guess we'll find out in 10 years if it fucked her brain up.
Yeah, hopefully it didn't. Actually, we have another one as well. So the other one reads, "Hello, friends. This one's by Bowsy. I'm gonna say Bowsy. Hello, friends. Awesome. Here's my first horror movie experience. I was maybe 5 or 6, and my dad made our whole family watch the original Poltergeist together. I like the idea of your dad making the whole family watch it.
Sit down! Sit down! I'm gonna spook you."
I remember being super excited to watch a quote grown-up movie, but it got to the part where the man is peeling his face off in the mirror of the bathroom, and it fucked me up. I had my nightmares for weeks after that. I rewatch the movie now at least once a year, and every time that part comes on, it gives me a weird nostalgic feeling. Now I only go to see horror movies with my dad. Thanks, pals. Bowsy.
Oh, good job, Dad. See, that's parenting done right, dude. If I have kids, I'm telling you, I truly have thought about, like, if I have kids, I think I want to go sit down with like a child therapist to be like, listen, I need to know, like, can you help me categorize some films and figure out like a strategic plan on introducing my kids to horror movies? You know, because I feel like if you start off, like, we can watch some Universal stuff. I'm not going to jump right into Saw. We'll get there, you know?
And wait for a Serbian film until they're like 11 or 12.
Yeah. Once preteen, it's fair game, in my opinion.
It's fair game for everything.
Everything. Yeah, whatever. Just, at that point, you're wrecked.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Hey, that's why I'll talk to the child therapist, and we'll get their opinion.
But yeah, so Shlee and Bowsy, thank you guys for sending us your horror stories.
Thank you both so much. You're wonderful.
Please email us, mostlyhorrormovienight@gmail.com. Title it whatever you want. I'll know who it is or what it's for, and we'll read you on our show. We would love to do that.
Please.
Talking about horror movies that we've watched recently, Sean still has not watched. He hasn't watched Saint Maud yet, which we've probably been talking about that since like one of the first episodes. And granted, we're recording these in a confined time. This episode's going to come out a couple of weeks after we record it. But you need to watch Saint Maud. And then also another great movie, I'd say great, it's a really good movie that I watched, is called The Vigil. And that's on Vudu. I think I just bought it or rented it. Another movie you have to watch. Both of those movies are dope, and you got to watch them.
You are right. Here's the deal. I'm a trash person, and I think we all know this by now. I'm just the worst procrastinator. I think we were actually talking about this the other day. I just am so. I need there to be no choice for me anymore. Like, I put things off until I did it in college. Like, I would have a whole semester to write a paper, and then I write it, the day before it's due. Right. And that's how I got some of my best work. But no, you're absolutely right. I will watch those movies by next week. A big part of it too, not to whatever, but I've been spending most of my time trying to figure out this Universal contest
that's
that they're doing, which is super cool. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's Universal's having a bunch of artists submit designs for like a new Universal monster, and I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna do it. And so, but I've been procrastinating that too because I'm trash.
It's okay. You're also doing some other things that are taking up your time though, right?
Yeah. I was about to say, it's not like I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I'm just too busy to do it. But I am operating at low seasonal depression capacity and I'm doing some stuff, and damn it, that's okay.
Well, so it's cool because like this podcast has afforded us the opportunity to watch some things that maybe we wouldn't have watched before, or we're having guests on that are either have worked on a film, and so we obviously want to watch the film, or next week, the episode that comes out after this, we're going to be talking to someone who is watching like kind of like lesbian centric vampire films, like from the 30s and 70s, and
fuck yeah,
it's so sick.
Like,
and so we're watching those movies and talking about it. I know I'm listening to the audiobook and you're reading The Girl with All the Gifts, right?
Yep. MR Carey, because we're going to be talking with him.
We're going to be talking to him in a later episode. Got Mike Carey, talking to him from the UK, so that'll be fun. So that's the cool thing about this podcast, is we're watching stuff that we probably wouldn't have, and kind of getting exposed to new horror, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
One thing that I wanted to talk about that I saw on Reddit, it's the horror subreddit, which is called Dreadit. I'm going to call it Dreadit because I love that name.
Love it.
I saw that the director of Coco, is it Disney or Pixar? Who did it?
It's Pixar.
So the Pixar movie Coco, the director is a huge fan of The Shining.
Really?
I sent you 2 photos of screenshots from
As
Coco.
I throw my phone. I forgot that you sent me photos. 1 second. 2 screenshots from Coco.
I sent you 2 screenshots of Coco. So the first thing that you're going to see is a screenshot of the main character from Coco running. And on a plank of wood, or it actually looks like something from like a set piece.
Yeah.
There are the Grady twins, like painted onto it. Yeah.
Yo.
And then in the next photo, the dog is like kind of rolling around, and in the back left-hand corner, there's an axe, and then there's a red drum, a red oil drum, red drum. And this has been confirmed. It's not like a fan theory. The director has said, I haven't fully read everything that he said he put in there as an Easter egg, but I just think that it's so cool that a fan, like a super fan of The Shining, directed Coco, which by the way is an absolutely amazing
so
movie.
Remember me. Dude, the movie made me. I was trying so hard not to cry.
The movie made me cry on Thanksgiving, dude. I remember.
I was like, don't do it, because I hate crying and I hate sad movies.
Suck up the tears.
Suck the tears back in. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's so cool that he did that, and I was like, "Oh, Sean's gonna love that shit."
Yeah, what I would have never guessed and would have never noticed. That's wonderful. Yeah. Speaking of The Shining, real quick, this is not a talking point that we had at all, but I just want to say, I think so often. You haven't read it, right? You've just seen the movie.
No, I've seen the movie a couple times.
So it's
Sleep.
As with most things, the book is often better. Obviously, The Shining movie is an amazing masterpiece of film, but there's a whole history between, Kubrick not wanting to, not really caring about Stephen King's input on that, and Stephen King not really loving that movie, because they are very different. That's just what happened. You can listen to a lot of their interviews about it, and it's interesting. But I want a Shining miniseries so bad, like
the full book, like broken into.
Not that I think that it's more. I think that dragging it out, even for like 4 episodes, like a 4 or even a 3 episode, kind of like what they did with Dracula, which we're not going to really dive into. But even something like that would be so cool. But I want it to be the book. I understand that the imagery from the film is so iconic that you can't leave it out. I think that Dr. Sleep did a really good job of fusing those things together. But I'm talking full live animal hedge bush things, because in the book those things are way more important than they are in that movie.
I remember you saying that when you were reading it, which is really interesting. It's one of those visual things, but I feel like that lends itself more to the CGI era of today than it does to the practical effect era of when Kubrick made The Shining.
And in fact, and I'm actually going to say this too, because it's a weird segue that I'm forming in my head, but I want the same miniseries sort of thing with American Psycho, because while the movie is very good, it, I don't know, I just feel like the book is so brutal and it would be a lot of fun
Has
to
so
whatever.
much more.
Yeah.
Whatever they do, as long as they don't fumble the last episode like they did with Dracula, man.
Yeah, which I still haven't seen. I've only seen the first episode. I loved the first episode. I know. And I know number 2 is really good, but then apparently number 3 just drops the ball.
Talk about a series that just like
really, I'm just
such a bummer. The first and second episodes are so good, and also the girl that plays Saint Maud in Saint Maud, Morphy Clark, I think is how you pronounce her name. She's in the first episode of Dracula too.
Oh, look at that! Cool. It's all coming together.
It's all full circle somehow.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we have a fun interview with Jen Harrington, who directed Shook. I don't think we've said that yet this episode. So Jennifer Harrington directed Shook. It's on Shudder right now. So if you're listening to this, you can go watch it on Shudder. It's an interesting take on kind of the negatives of or the double lives of influencers and kind of what social media is doing to today's society, mixed in with a home invasion horror movie. So
and we never are like spoilery really in our whatever, but we do break down the movie. So I always recommend people, like, even if you got to hit pause right now, just go watch the movie, come back.
Yeah, definitely. We don't go too far into it, but I think it definitely helps the conversation if you know a little bit about what we're talking about. So definitely check out Shook. Sean, how'd you feel about the conversation that we had?
It was great. Jennifer seems super nice, very informative about the movie. I feel like the things that she was, she wanted to touch on during the movie are obviously like the issues and you just watch the movie. But either way, the movie does a good job at expressing what it's about, what's going on, but getting her take on it gave me a new perspective on it. I kind of actually want to go rewatch it now. After talking to her. So
she definitely has a certain specific kind of take that she wrote into the script, which is definitely cuts through it. Awesome. Well, we will get over to that interview, and then after the interview, we will be doing a top 5 with some of our friends. So stick around after that and check it out.
Hell yeah.
That's all I got. Hope you guys enjoy. Jennifer Harrington, Shook. All right, we are here with Jennifer Harrington. Jennifer recently was both co-executive producer and director for the 2020 doc series Dear ... for Apple TV. She wrote and directed the feature film Housekeeping, which was released by Lionsgate. Has directed numerous short films screened at festivals internationally on IFC. And you just released your second feature film, Shook, which is why we're here today, that you wrote and directed, and it came out February 18th on Shudder. So that's pretty fantastic. That's why we're here today. I wanted to chat about Shook. Before that, how are you doing today?
All right. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Living the dream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about Shook. It came out, we're recording this on March 3rd, so it came out February 18th. It's been out a couple weeks. Can you kind of talk about the origin of it? What made you want to start writing a film like Shook? Kind of where did the idea get sparked?
Well, actually, this one, the idea was brought to me. The producer, Tara Craig, and her partner, Alesia Glidewell, actually had the basic idea of influencer home invasion sort of setup. And they brought it to me and asked me if I would figure out how to make it into a script. Okay. So the genesis actually didn't start with me. And to be honest, I didn't know anything about influencers really at all until they brought that to me. And so I kind of dove in online and started researching. And the more I learned about how old I am, that I didn't realize that there were like millions of people in this whole other world that I somehow didn't know anything about. Yeah. So that was fascinating, but also the story just kind of naturally evolved out of what I gleaned from looking at all of these different influencers. It's just sort of ripe for this kind of storytelling, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely
absolutely.
think it is. I think that you also have kind of a pointed like take on it. So what, I guess, if you're fine with it, how do you feel about the influencer vibe, from doing your research? Like what's your kind of take on that? I mean, I think the movie
Yeah.
kind of says one thing, are you kind of just transcribing into what the movie's saying as well, or?
I mean, yeah, I think like the thing with it is that I do feel like it's an extension of something we're all already doing to some extent with our social media profiles and stuff. So I can't say it's all just on influencers, except they're just the most extreme example of kind of like the future to come, I think, for all of us, which is this very created online persona that becomes like you know, multiple personality practically. I mean, you create a whole complete other identity, and when that fake identity then becomes online friends with someone else's fake identity, then what does that friendship mean? And like, how does like it all kind of becomes these like multiple degrees of separation away from reality. And so, it definitely seems like a dangerous place to be going as a society. And they are kind of on the forefront of it right now. It's just sort of an extreme view of, what I think possibly could be in all of our futures to some degree.
Yeah. 100%. I was about to say, I think it's definitely something that we're just kind of watching unfold in the digital world in front of us. And there's a lot of really cool things about it, but a lot of terrible what ifs and yeah, not to whatever. I have like the reason this whole like us getting a podcast going and stuff. I have built up a small following on TikTok, about like 152,000 followers, and so it creates like it's a weird thing to like manage. I hate you like I don't see myself as like an influencer by any means, but even just like the little bit that I've been doing, mainly to kind of get my art out there, has come with a lot of like weird things that I think about. And it was when I heard about your movie, I was kind of excited to see, that explored, because I love going into movies blind, so I didn't really know much about it. I just heard Shook and was like, okay, let's see what it's about. And watching it unfold in front of me was very interesting. So, yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like I'm not trying to say with the movie that like influencers are crappy people or something.
Yeah.
It's more of like I think that, like I said, it's when you create this fake world and then that fake world is interacting with all these other fake worlds. It's like it all becomes so meaningless, and yet we put so much meaning into it. So it's like, you have X amount of followers on TikTok, and like, how meaningful are those connections really with those people? And if I guess that's the thing, is like this idea of like we have this other way of judging and assessing people's worth now online, and yet in the end you kind of like scratch the surface a little bit and there's nothing in there.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I know that, especially with quarantine and stuff, because that's kind of, I've been locked in a house and I just draw and make like these videos, and I've been finding it sucks to say it, but it's the truth, that like sometimes my serotonin for the day is like directly proportionate to what's going on, you know what I mean, like
Oh, yeah.
on my TikTok, which is awful, like, and it's one of those things where I'm like, that's weird. And you know what I mean.
It's not awful though, it's human, but
Well,
that
yeah.
it's also dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not real. Not real. And so it's like, I don't know, it's hard to, and then yet we're in this world, like with the pandemic, where this is the only world we can function in currently. And yet, so we're trying to make it as real as possible, but it's still, in the end, it's like I said, it's like you barely scratch the surface and you can see there's like just nothing behind it.
Yep.
And it's funny, after the movie came out, I had a similar thing of like, reading what people were saying about the movie, and there'd be positive ones and that would be so great. I don't know who any of these people are. And then, oh my God, some really obvious, like truly horrible ones.
Yeah.
And it would just destroy me. And it's like,
Yep.
but I don't even know who these people are. And like, I don't even know what they think, or like what, like, I know none of it's real,
Yeah.
It's like, so it is very interesting, like kind of how, like I said, it just kind of, it's not just influencers, it's kind of all of us at this point.
Yeah.
I think that the film does a good job of kind of setting the stage, not to trying to do this interview without being too spoilery, but a very early shot, you have, them at like a, the red carpet event, or what you think is a red carpet event, and it pulls to a wide shot, and it's them, on some brick wall in an alleyway, on a small red carpet. And I think that's very like emblematic of like what the whole movie is. And so I think you do a really good job of demonstrating that. One thing I wanted, of course, one thing I wanted to talk about is the editing in the movie and your use of kind of post and showing social media through that. Is that I know that you've cut some films. Did you work kind of hand in hand really close with the editor for this, or how did that go about?
I was the editor.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense. I should have done more research. I'm sorry.
No. Like I didn't take a credit, and so you wouldn't be able to find it anywhere. I just didn't want to. I've been trying to move away from editing. That was really kind of where I started my career, and so like I just kind of didn't want another editing credit, so I purposely left it off. But I definitely had a lot in mind for the way it would be cut when I was writing it, and definitely when I was shooting, because we had such an incredibly short production schedule. I had to kind of know how I was going to cut it ahead of time, because there was no opportunity to get like safety shots or like extra coverage or anything. Sometimes it's like, I had to even just know like, well, what part of that shot am I really going to use, so that like if the beginning or end was bad, it's okay, because I know I'm not going to use it anyway, and like let's move on. But that I definitely had a lot of the editing in mind going in.
You can tell that I just watching it looks like it's made by someone who has an editing past, because of the projections on the wall, and like the use of social media that you have on top of it's like the kind of surrealistic aspect of the film, now that it's a surreal film, but just those couple of shots that you have throughout the movie, kind of showing the social media without like you just filming her phone, more or less. And that's what kind of led me. I was like, okay, this person definitely has like an editing background, because those sort of things I feel like just felt so natural that, just like you said, it felt like you were writing those in. So
those things in particular were written into the script for sure. And I think, kind of going back to what we were saying before, I chose to do it that way to show that, like, this blending of worlds, and how you may be sitting in your living room, but when you're looking at your phone, you're really wherever that, you're in a completely different world on the phone. And trying to show that it's like, we're constantly living in more than one place now with like our phones and our laptops and whatever. And sometimes you're way more present in the world on your phone than the one that you're in currently, or vice versa. So, like I definitely wanted that to be an aspect of the storytelling, because I think, and just like visually, just looking at somebody's phone for an hour and 20 minutes, I think is really old.
I was gonna say I love that you were just talking about, and I didn't even realize this until now, until you said that, but again, it's not spoiler, but she's sitting in this dark room on her phone, and I know I've done that a lot of times, and your whole vision kind of gets sucked up into your phone. And I know sometimes I'll be on my phone for an hour and I'll look around and sort of have to reconnect to the world around me. And I think I don't know, I just think you did a really good job of communicating that. And this goes to the editing thing, but I just loved the second that I saw the text conversations. I kind of got, because I've seen, as we like more horror movies are sort of trying to touch on a digital world and that sort of experience. And I'm not a big fan of when I'm watching minutes of a text conversation. And you nailed a way to make that interesting and to bring that like 100%. I like as soon as it started, I was like, oh, I don't know. And then the stuff started happening and I was like, oh, perfect. Like so good.
Good. So, yeah. I'm glad.
So another aspect that really helps to make that work is the lead actress, who is Mia in the movie. I mean, it's really just, not only is it a film that's set really in just one spot, but it's really with just one actress and then maybe two people, you know, in some of the scenes. What are the pros and cons of doing that? I mean, I think that it lends itself to being more kind of direct with one person and having more time spent with one person, but obviously, you know, you don't have other people to rely on, the energy to kind of bounce back and forth. So what are the pros and cons of doing that, having like one set and one actress?
I don't think there are a lot of pros other than like practical ones.
Okay.
You know, I mean, obviously for speed and budget, that works really nicely.
Yeah.
But as far as storytelling, it's extremely difficult. And, you know, I think that was our number one focus going into it, was how to overcome all the obstacles that kind of puts in front of you, which is, you know, how do you avoid it feeling like one note after the first 5 minutes, you know? So we did try to spend time, like, I definitely kind of mapped through the film, kind of like how the way we would shoot would change as we moved forward through the film. Like we went from Steadicam and tripod to handheld, like throughout the film. And then like there are color shifts as we move through the film. And there are like ways that like I directed the actress so that, you know, sometimes the way she expresses her fear is very overt, and other times I had her do it very internally, and, you know, trying to change that up as well so that it felt like something was always progressing and changing. And it's still really hard because it's still the same damn house and the same damn girl.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, that definitely, it was challenging. And I think, like I said, that was the one of the main focuses in even in the writing, was just trying to figure out how to overcome that.
I think that you also did a good job of not like showing so much of the house at once. So you're able to make each individual room, I mean, granted small rooms, but able to make some individual rooms really like, you know, stay for an entire scene. So that way it felt like you were in this bigger, you know, granted it's a bigger house, but you're in a bigger house than you really are. Like you're spending more time in each area. So I think that you did a good job of that. And then you even have a backyard for a portion of time. So that helps as well. Do you personally have anything against dogs? That's what I want to know.
No. And it's like, it's so funny, you know, I actually love dogs, and I volunteer at the shelter, and I'm involved in animal rescue, and like, and it's funny because I know it's like a whole horror thing, and like it's interesting like reading some of the comments on the movie too, because I knew it was going to be controversial, I guess, even though I try to make it as tame as possible, and you really don't see anything. And like the whole idea is, you know, it's playing with the idea of like, you know, we do care more about dogs on screen than people. And like, we're looking at these people, and, you know, who are you worried about most throughout the course of this movie?
Yeah.
Is it you know, Lainey, or is it Chico? Like,
yeah, it might be Chico.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like that was the goal, and it was supposed to be a little more tongue-in-cheek and a little bit playing with that whole concept that people, you know, talk about a lot. But I think a lot of people have taken it very literally and straight, unfortunately, but it certainly wasn't intended that way. I have nothing against dogs.
Right.
It's kind of the whole point, is that I think like dogs in often ways are like worth more than humans.
Yeah. Well, there's, I mean, you know, the movie starts, and, you know, I guess it, not to spoil it a whole lot, but there's someone kind of going around killing like dogs in an area, and also some people too, or a person. And I at the beginning was like, do I go on doesthedogdie.com and look up this movie really quick just to kind of see what I'm getting in for? But I guess that says a lot to your point, is there's no doesthehumanDie.com.
I know, that's the whole thing.
I think we have an avenue to go into is doesthehumanDie.com.
It's so funny. No, because no one's gonna care. No one's gonna use it. I was about to say when the movie started, there's a very fun death. I enjoyed that. I won't give it away, but there's a fun death at the beginning of the movie, and I remember watching it and being like, "Oh, that's fun." And then when I realized, like, wait, this is about like dogs might get hurt, I was like, "How dare you!" Like,
but, I mean, that was the point. Like, that's what I wanted people to feel. And,
exactly.
Like I said, I mean, it might be a failure on my part that like maybe people didn't catch that.
No.
But I mean, that was the intention. Is it wasn't just me being like sadistic to dogs.
Yeah.
No, I think as the movie goes on, the end and some of the dialogue at the end, kind of talking about the decisions that are made in the movie, do a good job of illustrating that point that you're trying to make. Dogs versus humans and what we care about more. Or ourselves online. So I definitely think you do a good job of illustrating that.
Thank you.
Yeah. What movies in the genre kind of led your directorial vision, or were you kind of influenced by anything at all to make this film?
This film, I mean, a very obvious reference is Scream. And it's very much like the first scene of Scream for an entire movie.
That's fair, yeah.
But I love the first scene of Scream, so
yeah.
And I love Wes Craven, so yeah, I mean, that would definitely be a very big influence for sure. I also just love the poppy tone of Wes Craven, and especially Scream, and there's some John Carpenter in there for sure too. Some old school Halloween vibes. But yeah, I would say those two were probably the biggest influences.
That's totally fair. I think that Scream, I could be wrong here. I might get like chastised if I mess something up, but I feel like Scream took a lot from When a Stranger Calls, and that's what this made me think of a lot. Like watching your movie, I was like, oh, it's kind of like When a Stranger Calls, but in like a new, updated way. Obviously, very different in many ways too. But that's one of the things that drew me in about it, because I love both the original and the remake of that movie. So I was curious if you were going to bring that up.
Plot wise for sure. It definitely has. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you think about Saw at all while you were making this movie?
This is going to sound so crazy, but I have to be honest in that. Okay, so when I was a kid, I was super obsessed with horror movies, and I like 10 years old, I'm watching like every horror movie in the video store. I turned into an adult, and like horror movies really freak me out. And I don't watch a lot of horror movies anymore, which is so hilarious. And I have not seen Saw because it looks too scary.
That's
it definitely is. It definitely is not.
I mean, I know the whole premise. Like I've read about it. Like, and all the more reason why I'm like, I don't think I can handle that movie.
Yeah,
right.
I'm curious then. So, do you think that might have anything to do with, like the level of realism and stuff that has been, like, I don't know, horror movies when we were kids it was a different vibe. They were still scary, but there's now, especially we're diving more into like, especially for an era, we had a lot of torture porn-esque films like Saw and stuff.
That's when I went like that.
Okay. So
it's too much.
Yeah, and I get that.
I think for me, like you'll see like the first kill, which was the one we had the most time to do, and clearly, and was the most fun. It's not that I have an issue with gore. I just like I like it when it's more fun and is more silly and is more about like shock value and the idea of it and all of those things, which I definitely feel like I come from, like Evil Dead 2 is one of my favorite movies, and
Agreed.
There's lots of craziness going on in there, but it's not like once it started going into that more torture porn area, it just was really hard. I can't.
Yeah.
It's just too much for me. I just don't like it.
The second episode we've had where we kind of not
touch
talk
on
smack,
that.
but yeah, where we talk about
no, I mean,
the issue.
in a way though, it like totally huge boom in horror when that came around, and lots of people really loved it, just not for me. And then at that point I just sort of, I don't know, then I just became a scaredy cat. I just can't watch as much.
Well, I think that your movie, because the I guess the gratuitous like gore of Saw obviously isn't what your movie has or what it reminds me of. It's more the trap or the game feel.
Yeah.
Because it feels very much like one of the games to me, or like, you know,
and I'm familiar version. Like I know the story of Saw, and like I definitely, but I mean, obviously that had to have been an inspiration, even though I wasn't consciously thinking of it when I was writing it. But what again, going back to like Scream or like Nightmare on Elm Street, like what I was really going for was the playful, puppet master, the villain that has like a bit of a sense of humor, that's like a little wicked and is pulling on the strings. That was more of what I was kind of starting with. But then yes, obviously it's like it's very much a trope now after the Saw movies, is the games. But it was fun.
You don't see it a ton, like at least in bigger films that I've seen, recently in the genre. So I definitely think that you doing it was and you obviously have your own, sprinkles of yourself on it, and the twists that you have are different than Saw. So it was just the first one in my head that I was like, I didn't even think of Scream, which I should have. But
it honestly almost definitely. Have either of you seen phone booth? I think it is with.
No, I haven't.
No,
but I know
Colin Farrell. Is that what you're talking about?
Is it Colin Farrell? Yeah,
I think so.
It almost made me think of that too. That's another one where I was like, it's When a Stranger Calls and some phone booth and some other stuff. Because that whole movie is a guy trapped in a phone booth and someone kind of making him make decisions and stuff. And I don't know, that's definitely like a scary thing, and it's something that I could see being explored as we, the digital age and stuff. And it perfectly fits with the social media aspect of it.
So outside of Shook, you've done Housekeeping. I wasn't able to find Housekeeping in between the time that we booked this, but is it horror? Is it in that genre? We're not even going to talk about
it. It is in horror. It's a horror movie. Okay. It's like
it shows how much you've grown as an artist, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, like, look, that was a movie that, like, I was a struggling filmmaker, and I've been trying to make a movie for a long time and couldn't get money from anywhere. So I decided to make a movie myself. So that is self-funded. Production cost me like $500. I shot it myself on a Canon 60D, and and somehow I managed to sell it. It got put, like, Lionsgate put it out, but it is not. The production value is minuscule. And it is what it is. It's weird. It's another girl in a house.
Okay. Well, so I guess the reason I asked that is 2 films in the horror genre. You're obviously a fan of horror, even if you're not watching a lot of it right now, or recently. But are you looking to stay in the genre? What kind of stuff are you creating in the future?
No. I mean, I do like horror, and that's I kind of started there because I had such a love for it as a kid, and I do feel like I have a strong foundation in all those classics. But I sold a script last year to Sony and Jake Kasdan. That's more, I think they called it sci-fi action comedy.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Interesting.
But what's funny is it takes elements that are in Shook, but just goes in. It's like anything that's funnier, the first kill, that tone. Mm-hmm. And I just made wrote a whole script in that tone. So okay. It still has sort of fun, gratuitous violence and stuff like that. And then I'm working on another project right now that's a similar vein. So So I'm kind of stepping out of like the straight sort of horror world, but I still love that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite movies is Shaun of the Dead, and like that combo of like, you know, I mean, I was just like when he throws that record and it hits the zombie guy like right in the forehead, and it's just so funny, but it's also gross.
Yeah.
I love like funny gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going.
Absolutely. Horror comedy really gives you a really cool space to talk about some darker things. Like, I don't know, you know, I mean, horror has always been a commentary on the darker aspects of our world and being a human and things like that. And horror comedy gives you this like extra special stage to talk about things. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely hope that as you grow, you don't abandon the genre entirely, because I'm very curious to see more stuff from you in this realm.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, we just talked with, Kevin Lewis, who is the director of Willy's Wonderland. I don't know if you know the like. Yeah. And that's
one of the few newer horror movies that like I'm like, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, because it looks like more my bag. Like,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
it's
definitely the funny horror. I mean, it's horror, but it's, you know, it has very funny moments. It's very tongue in cheek. It's very like, you know, goofy. So you talking about that aspect of it is definitely like it reminds me of what they were doing or trying to do with Willy's Wonderland and what they did. So when you were talking about making housekeeping, getting it to Lionsgate, which is amazing, you know, we've talked to a bunch of directors about kind of the trials and tribulations of being, you know, an aspiring filmmaker or growing in the filmmaking industry. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, I guess the things that you've learned going from housekeeping to Shook, because obviously Shook is on Shudder now, which for any horror head, you know, knows Shudder is like the number one place to go and like such a niche streaming service that's amazing. Can you talk a little bit about maybe just a couple of the things that you learned, or some things that you wish you would have known going into it? Not to put you on the spot, but
oh no, it's okay. It's like, I don't know, you know, this business is just like totally random. And so much of what happens is nothing to do with like who you are, what you've done, or like, you know, you made the right decision here or you talked with the right person there. It's like, it really does often feel like completely arbitrary. And, you know, all you can do is just like keep trying to make stuff and like keep trying to talk to people and then hope that, you know, somehow something happens. But like almost everything that's happened for me has been like that. It's like, I mean, I've been trying to direct films for a very long time, and I got sidelined as an editor for forever, and it was really difficult to get anyone to take me seriously as a director. And so, yeah, like I just kept trying. And so after housekeeping, I mean, it wasn't that much different. I mean, it was great that I could say I directed a film, but it didn't, sadly, I can't say it really opened any doors. I mean, I had to just keep trying. So, I mean, again, and it was just like trying to meet people and writing things and getting other people to read it and shooting shorts and like small projects. And like through all of that, I eventually met the producer who I was talking to about a different script I'd written. And then they decided they wanted to make this project, and they brought it to me because I just happened to be talking to them at the time. So, I mean, again, it just kind of happened, you know. And then I had been talking to this person who introduced me to this manager. And then when I wrote the other script, then they liked it and it went out, and then we sold it to Sony. But like, it's so hard because I you know, I always wish that somebody could tell me what to do, how to, and you realize at some point there just isn't anything other than to stop. Like the only thing you can't do is stop. If you stop, then yeah, that's it. But otherwise. You just have to keep trying, but trying what? I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems like the kind of like through line for, like I said, we've talked to a lot of have talked to a couple of filmmakers that are, in their first or second film in the genre or whatever it may be. And the through line is kind of like just making things. Like you just have to make something. So I feel like that's it makes me feel better, as Sean and I, not to get too much into ourselves, but we're both creatives. Sean kind of more so than me, at least with production. And it feels good to hear someone say like, you just have to keep making stuff, because that's the truth. And it's really hard to not feel like you should just stop. So
yeah,
you saying that is definitely like a very, I think, good thing to hear.
I was going to say, I love that you said everything that you just said, because it's because it's not just making things, but it's about putting yourself out there. And I think a lot of people, me, can paralyze myself with trying to figure out the perfect way to make the perfect thing and then get it in the take the perfect route to get where you need to go. And that's just not. We are in with really any creative industry.
And Shook is not perfect, I'll tell you.
I think the thing is that's like a super important lesson to learn is just make something and then reach out. Like Steve is so good at just like he'll just talk to people, he'll just figure out ways to be like, hey, we're doing this.
Shutter PR people and get Jen Harrington on an interview.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm terrible at that stuff. That stuff is the hardest, the talking to people, and it's the worst.
Yeah.
But you know what? Email does make it so much easier. That like as a person who hates doing that stuff, I feel like email has really helped me out, because it's like you can just find people's email addresses online, and if you can write the funniest email you've ever written, that's also like the nicest email. You can get people to write you back.
Yeah.
And I've definitely done that on many occasions for certain things, just because you got to try, and it's a hell of a lot easier than trying to call somebody or like, go up to them at a party or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how people do that. It's just like meet and greets.
Yeah. No. It doesn't sound like something I'd want to do. I'm big into emailing though.
Email, it's easy. They can't see you.
Right.
Yeah. Great. And it's crazy. Like you said, it's crazy the amount of people that respond. Like, we started this podcast not super long ago. And I've booked 2.5 months full of interviews of people that aren't, like pretty big people in the horror industry. So
that's great.
Just through emailing, you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely, I agree where you're coming from 100%. Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming on and doing the interview. Really glad that we sent that email. I think that's that kind of ties everything all together.
Awesome.
So Shook is on Shudder right now. And you said you're currently writing something else like that you're going to be directing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. So
Absolutely.
We'll look for that in the future. And everyone go check out Shook on Shudder. And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys. It was great.
We are here on today, March the 10th, with our friends Jenna and Brandon. On today. For the sake of this episode, we just had a conversation with Jen Harrington, the director of Shook, now on Shudder, which I probably just said at the end of that interview segment. But we are going to play a game. Instead of our top 5, we're going to do something called Would You Rather, which is something that we do normally as friends. We kind of just sit around and BS and come up with Would You Rather scenarios. We're going to make them horror adjacent and tech adjacent, so that way they relate to the movie that we just talked about. And basically one person will present their Would You Rather, and we'll all talk about our decision. We didn't discuss beforehand who's going to go first. So Sean, should you or I go first, so that way we can kick things off and go from there?
You should start. You should set the tone, in my opinion. All right.
That's fine. Mine is a very, very cut and dry horror-esque decision-based Would You Rather.
Okay.
So to start off, would you rather Would you?
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in. Would you rather? Every time you get a text, you get a paper cut.
Oh Jesus!
It's just on your skin somewhere. Get a paper cut. Every
Pretty
text
sure I
that
saw
you
this
get,
on Twitter.
I don't know where.
Yeah.
Or every time that you get a call, either phone call, FaceTime, you lose a tooth.
Ow.
It'll grow back.
Well,
You aren't gonna run out of teeth, but you lose a tooth, and it happens probably in a way that's painful. So either you run into something and your tooth gets pulled out, or it just gets yanked out by some invisible force.
Or you break it on.
I mean, I have so many thoughts. I have to write this down.
Question. Okay, so is it on some? All right, for both things, for the paper cuts and for the teeth, is it on some Final Destination shit where you know it's a curse and it will happen a different way every time? Where like every time what was it? A FaceTime call? Is that what you said?
A phone call or a FaceTime call.
Every time someone calls you, you know that soon after something's going to happen that's going to knock your teeth out, and it's different every time. Or
it's like bring, your tooth,
and it hurts and it gets ripped out.
Yes.
And so in the paper cut, there's no paper, but it's like it's just across your skin.
Yep.
And it's a paper cut. It's not in like a specific spot every time. It like goes around your body every time. So you could get like gooch paper cuts and everything is what you're saying.
Could it?
You could in theory.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, could it appear
Gooch and Lady Gooch?
Could the paper cuts show up on your eyeballs or
no, we're gonna say skin. We're gonna say skin paper.
But on your dick, and on your bum holes.
Wait, what? We changed it now? I thought it was only on the thumbs.
No, he was saying like
just
on
skin.
your thumbs.
Just skin.
This is the whole bodies of the canvas.
Okay, and again, sorry, we have a lot of clarifying to do.
No,
and for the teeth, they do grow back. How long does it take to grow back?
Probably next day, so that way it could be the same one ripping out.
It could be the same tooth that rips out every single day.
That's disgusting.
It's fucked up.
I know, dude. It's.
I mean, this is a no-brainer. That's all I'm gonna say. But I'll listen to you guys.
Well, then what's
your Mrs. Confident?
What's your choice then? Yeah.
Okay, I'll say this: mouth pain and body pain are two different levels of pain. For me, mouth pain is way higher and way more sensitive than the rest of my body. And I'll be honest with you, I already only have like 28 teeth, and I'm pretty sure the regular amount is 20 or 32. So I'm already missing some. I can't afford to lose any more to even eat.
They grow back.
Yeah, but I only have 28 to begin with. So not only that, but I have eczema.
I think that's more than normal, isn't it? How many teeth do you have?
I have eczema.
No, 28's the normal amount, right?
I think it's 32.
Yeah, I think it is 32. And I have like 28.
I'm not going to count my teeth. Right
714. It should be 28.
I have like 27 or 25.
Teeth.
I have then 25. It's very low. And not only that, but I have eczema on my hands and my feet, which turn into slits. There are slits all the time. On the two things you use the most during the day, I have freaking slits on my hands and I have slits on my ankle or the bottom of my feet. So you know what? I'll take the paper cut all day long, baby. Fuck the mouth pain.
You were kind of making it seem like you were gonna go with tooth for a second because you were like, I got slits everywhere, but
I do, so I'm already used to it. I live daily like it. It's fine.
It's life. It's fucking life for you.
I will answer next.
Okay.
I am gonna choose teeth because I agree. Here's the thing. I agree with Jenna. Mouth pain is like incredible. And it's gonna fucking hurt. I accept that. But I am not willing to roll the dice with where that paper cut's gonna be or the severity. The idea of even once it happening on like we're gonna get a little intimate.
This is
the tip of my dick scares the fuck out of me. Like that, or like between my fingers or toes.
Yeah.
I can't handle that. At least with the teeth, I know, like, I'm like, this sucks, but I know it's the same thing every whatever. And it happens less often. I get a lot of fucking text messages. People know not to call me.
Yeah, but so have you ever nicked your sack shaven though? Like ever?
A ton of times.
Okay, so I'm curious. So obviously the boober is a little bit more sensitive.
Boober. Is that the tip of, wait, real quick to clarify for the audience.
That is the scientific term for the tip of the penis.
The boober.
The boober. Is this news? This is groundbreaking.
I've never in my life have I heard that.
So
I thought it was an eraser.
The boober is a little bit more sensitive than the sack, but like the sack pain, when you nick the sack, it goes away pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
I mean, you're a little bloody for a second, but blood in the underwear, that's nothing new. So like, it's not a big deal.
I'm not worried about the sack. That's why I didn't say the sack. But the tip, dude.
The tip of the dick is a little, because if you ever pinch it, like you've pinched it once, it's pretty bad.
Stop. You ever listen?
People get sounded, man. Come on,
dude.
To talk about
fuck you. Listen.
Right.
What is fucking true?
So Sean thinks that he would do the teeth because he gets those phone calls.
Okay.
Brandon, what do you think? What do you think you would do?
Do I
think about the tip of your dick, dude?
Yeah, it's not seeing much action anyway. I'm not too concerned. I'm more so. What the fuck was I going to ask? Oh, do I have the option to switch? So, like, let's say I was like, I want to start with teeth.
How is it would you rather if you can fucking switch?
No.
Okay.
This is the stupidest shit. Oh, I'll take both. Who the fuck answers that?
I like a healthy mix of both for 600.
I'll take the paper cuts just because I feel like even a paper cut on the boober is like maybe 30 minutes to an hour of discomfort. But if I get a tooth yanked out, my day is fucking shot.
Yeah. Can we title this episode "A Paper Cut on the Boober"?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I would also do paper cut because I get a ton of phone calls every day, so like my teeth are all gone.
That's my primary communication.
Yeah,
won't be able to talk by the end of it.
Yeah, you're just toothless.
Yeah.
So, well, that was a good.
Well, that
start.
sucked. That was a good start. That was
a good one.
That was terrible.
Let's go in on my screen, which is what we're gonna record. We'll go in a clockwise fashion. So that means Brandon, you would be next with your.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so mine. So this is we're playing off of the tech horror theme, correct?
Yeah.
So mine is more movie based. Mine is more based in film.
Okay.
So take two specific films that I was thinking of were Stay Alive, cult classic Stay Alive, where if you die in the game, you die in real life.
You die for real.
And Ringu, or The Ring. Just The Ring in general. I like the Japanese one more. Most people do as well. I'm gonna go.
Is that Frankie Muniz in that movie? Really quick.
In Stay Alive, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen that in so long. I don't even think I've seen all of it.
It's so bad, but it's so good. No, I actually legitimately love that movie. I
need to re-up.
Every time it's like streamable, I watch it. I'm like, I love that movie. Anywho, so those are the two films. So basically, those two films, my would you rather is, would you rather be in the world of Stay Alive and have to play the game? And if you defeat the game, if you beat the game and therefore defeat the curse, you cure COVID. Or you're in the world of Ringu, or The Ring, and you are forced to watch the tape, and you have 7 days to then figure out how to defeat the curse and you cure COVID. Here's the thing. So we go back to Stay Alive. Basically, your goal, your task is you have to play the game. You have to play the game. You have to stay alive. And if you beat the game, you win. Easy task for some people. You have to test your mettle when it comes to playing video games, right? If you beat the game, that's it. You're done. It could be an hour game time, whatever it is. However, if you die in the game, the demon's coming to get your ass.
Right.
That night.
You die for
you're
real.
done for. However, on the inverse, you're in the world of Ringu, you're in the world of The Ring, and you have 7 days to figure out how to solve this massive mystery. This is a much more difficult challenge on paper, could involve traveling the world, could involve talking to a bunch of people that you don't know, could involve learning a whole new language, depending on which movie we're talking about.
Translator, please.
And you get 7 days. You get 7 days to complete this task. Would you rather be in that world of Stay Alive, having to beat the game, or die trying in order to cure COVID, or be in the world of The Ring? You have 7 days to solve the mystery of the curse to eradicate COVID, or you die. What one would you rather do based off your own skills, based off your own interests? What makes more sense?
So I haven't seen The Ring in a long time, but do they ever figure out like the
Yes.
what's going on. All right, dude.
Yeah. So basically, there is no, and I'm not saying it's the same. Like you can't be like, well, I'm just gonna do the same shit they did in the movie.
It's gonna take me one day. I'm gonna watch the movie.
Imagine these movies don't. Imagine the source material doesn't exist for a second. You just exist within these worlds. But in the current reality, the lengths that you have to go to.
I know the premise.
Success.
Yeah.
What would you rather do? It's a hard one. I know what I would say.
I think I do the video game just because there's like less variables. I feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's.
But if you fuck up, you're dead.
I know,
day one,
also,
you mess up, you're dead.
But if I fuck up within 7 days, I feel the pressure of having the 7 days worth of time is worse to me than the video game. Like death is looming regardless. So I feel like in the video game, I can take my time with it, hopefully, and like figure shit out. Where with the ring, I only have 7 days, and I'm gonna be thinking about how little time I have from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gemma, you next.
I'm the opposite. I want the extra time to do it. I'll be honest. Okay. What type of game is it that you have to play?
It's like a first-person shooter.
Oh, I'm dead in 2 minutes. Okay, I don't play first-person shooters except Overwatch. So I would die. I mean, I would die immediately. Like, thanks. I don't even have a chance. I'd like to try at least, and then if I don't, it's the last day. I'm like, all right, bye everybody. Say last goodbyes. I would much rather have the 7 day.
So you're clocking out regardless. You're like, I'd rather just have the 7 days because I'm gonna fail.
Yeah, do something I want to do.
Regardless.
So you just wouldn't even worry about the. Like, are you saying that?
Oh no, I'm gonna try to figure it out.
Are you fairly confident in your ability to unravel the mystery?
I don't know what they do in the movie, but I mean, I'm pretty good at riddles.
I would say you're a really good problem solver. I think you're really good at piecing together puzzles. I think
7 days though.
Yeah, I think you could knock it out in
2 minutes. I'm giving myself a chance with the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Comparatively, yeah.
Question. So, are we talking about? Because you said you took it to a place of like you hypothetically might have to interview people, meet people, travel the world. Are we talking about with our current resources? Because traveling the world is not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if I have to travel the world, that means I have the means to do it.
Yeah. So it's definitely in your. You are able to. You are.
Yeah. It's just a mental thing.
Do either task.
Yeah, it's
just okay. Funny that you're not in the world of COVID, but you're trying to cure COVID.
Right, because you can travel. Well, fuck
that's
that.
fair.
No, you can travel. It's fine.
Okay, so my answer is going to be the game because I suck at problem solving. I am not good at it. Even in video games, when a game gets too it's not like puzzles are one thing, but when it's finding shit, like finding specific clues, and I'm a born and raised Zelda player. I check every room for everything, but Silent Hill is so hard for me because I get lost easy and I miss things like so quick. So I think I would be fucked. I have pretty good aim. I'm not a huge first-person shooter person, but I'm more confident in my ability to execute a video game. Not confident necessarily.
But if you die in the game, I mean, somebody finish the sentence.
I get it.
For real.
You die for real.
Yeah. Listen, now, and I understand that, but same with the thing. Also, I'm anxious. I would rather just face the challenge and get through it than to have the 7 days to sit there and worry about how fucking lost I am because I haven't figured anything out.
The 7 days aspect just looms over me.
Yeah,
I totally understand that. Sean, we need to get you some fucking I Spy books, man. We need to get you more.
Dude, I can't even. You should watch
Waldo?
Me. You should see me. Two things.
Waldo?
One, I just saw an article about the guy who set up all the I Spy shoots and did the photography. That was super cool. But also,
that's fucking cool.
You should see me on a first day of working at a job or my training period at a job, because they'll be like, all right, look at the computer, and they're like, all right, so click on manager setup, and then I'm literally looking at the screen.
It's Borat learning how to drive a car.
Where?
Well, I'm looking. I literally, because it's a list of things. They're click manager setup, and I'm moving the mouse around very slowly, and they're like, right there, and I'm like, there, yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah, totally. I know
like,
some of these words. I can figure this out.
Yeah, my 100%. My ability to notice detail quickly is not always the strongest, unless my brain just naturally takes me there. But for me to guide that is hard.
Yeah, I think for me personally, not that anyone asked, but I think I would definitely choose the video game route because I have beat every Dark Souls. And
oh my god!
I think if anything is of paramount importance in that scenario, it's your ability to beat hard ass games. And I'm not saying
you die all the time in Souls.
Oh, shut
immediately.
I don't die
why would
immediately.
you want to play the game that you die all the time?
You know how many times I've played these games? I dip the toe. I'm like, what happens if I do this? And I fuck up and I immediately die. Okay, that's
what you're gonna do in the game.
That's different, man.
If you die in the game,
come into my world, invade my world.
You die for real, dude.
Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Real quick. Also, I just realized, did we get Steve's answer about his question?
Oh, no, we did.
Yeah,
I just answered. You said paper cuts?
Yeah, I said paper cuts.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that makes sense.
It was quick.
That's a lot. I don't know.
I agree. So for the first round, we have 3 paper cuts to 1 tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Second round, we have 3 games to 1 ring.
Yeah,
Jenna, you were the ring, right? You were the 7 days.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Your thought process makes sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense.
I just don't agree for me.
for me.
Yeah. All right, Sean.
Me?
Would you rather? Yes.
Okay, so mine is so different than your guys's.
That's fine.
That's good.
Okay, so for whatever reason, whether it be accident, terminal illness, something crazy, all right, gunshot wound, something, you're dying. And what? Fuck you. What did I make a sound? Did I make a weird sound? What?
Oh god.
Did I make a sound?
What a great bit for this podcast.
Yes.
I'm so pissed. I'm going home.
All right, gunshot wound.
All right,
fucking in your bedroom.
The point is, you're dying. All right, for this conversation, hypothetically, your brain, your consciousness can be uploaded to the internet to say on some transcendent shit, or you becoming Scarlett Johansson and her, where you are a consciousness in the brain. Now, I want to note, before I continue, I want to say that I don't believe this is possible, which is something that I want to touch on. I think that any uploading of consciousness would just be a copy of you, because you're not just your memories and your experiences, but you are a conversation your neurons are having. So I think that if we ever reached a point where we could upload consciousness, it would just be like duplicating a file on a computer. And even though the new file is you're not the new file, and you're still the version that gets deleted. But hypothetically,
is that what they teach you in macaroni drawing class?
I'll fucking stab you in the neck. Listen, I have thought a lot about this. All right.
No, you know what? It's perfectly understand.
Art school, if you want to attack art school involves a lot of drugs and deep thinking and conversation. But for the sake of this conversation, we are confident that it is your consciousness that's getting uploaded. But would you rather die or face the abstract, who knows what it's going to be like, existence of now existing digitally in that space, possibly never dying, literally becoming this strange abstraction and all of the horrors and complete disassociation from any physical world sensations that are a part of that? Would you rather roll the dice on that experience and maybe never get to die if it's terrible, or just accept your death and there's no afterlife?
I think.
Or we don't know if there's an afterlife still. Okay.
Do you mind if I go first?
Really quick, I'm not going to answer.
Yeah.
But there is a TV show that's very big right now. I don't think any of you 3 have watched it. I'm not sure. But they talk about the thought, this kind of thought experiment of your memories being uploaded, and if that's the real person. They talk about the ship of Theseus, and that's a big philosophical if you the ship of Theseus is in a museum, and it's the original ship, and over time you have to remove a plank and replace it to like keep it so it still stays standing.
Yeah.
And it still has all the rust and all the mold and whatever that it always had. But after a certain amount of time, the ship is still there, but all the planks have been replaced. But like the mold and the rust is still there. So is it still the same ship? And that's the thought experiment. So I think it's really cool. I think that anyone that has seen the show that I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but anyone that's seen the show will know exactly what I'm talking about. So I think this is
I feel like it's WandaVision because I've not seen that, and that's popular right now.
Show? It's probably that, yeah.
It is. It doesn't spoil anything. WandaVision basically talks about that.
I'm not caught up. So please.
To your part, Steve, the interesting about that is like the way you remember things isn't necessarily how reality was. It's almost like living a different type of life.
Yeah.
It's living a second life that's altered. It's based around the original experience.
So
like a
real
copycat.
quick, I was about to say, because the way I see it is like a clone. Like it literally is you. Like it has every experience, like regardless of whether or not it's real. Like I'm me because of my perceptions of my past and everything. Like it, for all intensive purposes, a clone or an upload would be me. But that doesn't mean that I'm it, because I am not just the continuation of my perspective, but I am limited to this camera angle. So to me, it's the same as like, I can make a clone that is literally me with all of my memories, but the second that the clone is made, we are now experiencing things from two different perspectives. And I truly see it like copying a file. Like if you have a file on your computer and you make a copy of it, you have two files. They are the exact same thing. But I think like the second file isn't any less the first file than the first one, but you still turn off. Like your perspective, your steady stream of consciousness shuts off. So even though to everyone else, the new file is you don't get to experience from that point on. Like I truly believe that consciousness is like tied to the communication of your it's not soul. I think that your neurons, your consciousness is not the neurons or the electricity. I think it is the conversation, the abstraction of the conversation between your neurons. So when your neurons die, you do. Even if you continue. Yeah, I was about to say, this is what I think about. Why do you think I have existential anxiety? Why do you think I need to go to therapy? But that aside, that's not the question.
So Brandon, what were you going to say?
So basically, I think it all comes down to what your definition of what humanity is in general. What makes humans human? What makes us special? And I think, for one, the ability to have a conversation like this is one thing that is very uniquely human. But if it gets to the point where so you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, so you're basically saying that I, as a person, personality-wise, trait-wise, would be transferred to another shell, but my thinking brain does not go with it?
If I'm talking about whether or not I think this is possible in real life, I'm saying, that you're just making a copy into a digital space or into a clone or an android or something. Yeah. And it's not actually you, because I think that you are not just the things that make you, but you are the abstraction experiencing you. So
you're not a physical body experiencing those things.
Yeah.
Well, you're so
the earth part of you isn't there.
Well, I think
so. So the question is, would you rather be copied?
No. So I'm sorry, I might have, again, for the sake of the hypothetical. I'm sorry. This is ignore everything else. I'm not asking. If you want to, we can go into that and you guys can give your thoughts on that. But for the sake of this hypothetical, I'm saying that your consciousness does act. It doesn't just get copied; it transfers.
Okay.
And you now truly you exist, but without a physical body in a digital space. It is you. But that's for the sake of the hypothetical, but I'm also noting that I don't think that's possible. I'm saying for the sake of the hypothetical. And I want you to answer under that assumption and then separate, and you can do a different answer about whether or not you think it's possible.
I feel like there's this tangible aspect of humanity, of life, that is crucial to developing personality, to developing the person. So to not have that anymore, I wonder if there are aspects of humanity that are gone, that are thrown by the wayside. Because, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, it gets to a point where, like, you know, one of the most important things about humanity is our ability to develop relationships, friendships, partnerships, family. And a lot of that is based on physical necessity. I mean, it is, you know, to a degree. Like, you can have friends digitally, obviously, but there is a physical aspect to humanity that is necessary in order to develop these relationships. That's something that is uniquely human.
Yeah.
So to throw that away, I'm curious. This isn't, none of us are answering. We're all just posing deeper questions about the topic.
Well,
if I'm going to do a quick answer, no, I honestly think I would rather choose death than to be uploaded.
Yeah.
But I think that by being uploaded, you are willingly forfeiting a lot of what makes humans human.
Well, no, absolutely. In essence, my question is, you're evolving. Like, your consciousness is not limited to humanity. I'm not talking about your humanity. I'm talking about your consciousness. So you're literally leaving humanity behind. I entirely agree with you.
Yeah, it's definitely transcending humanity. I mean,
100%. That's Transcendence. The movie Transcendence. That's what this question is.
I mean, because it is.
Okay.
It's going beyond humanity.
Yeah.
You could see it as technological evolution, but by feeding into technological evolution, you're forfeiting the biological aspects of humanity.
Yeah. Yep.
And with that, I say nay.
I would die. I'm already not loving this life, so why keep it going?
Keep it simple.
Yeah, I would rather die. I don't want. I mean, you guys talked about all the thoughts I've already had anyway, so that's my answer.
Fair. Steve?
I think there's a lot of opportunities either way, because I think if you're under the assumption that your consciousness stays with you, then I think being in a digital space, especially with the possibility of a lot of other people being in the digital space, lends itself to, like, who knows what could happen, which is kind of the same thing as in, like, you die, there could be an afterlife, there could be not, or there could not be. Who knows what's going to happen. So I think that it's not like uploading yourself is something that we know what would happen with. So I think this honestly ties into the episode that we just recorded, or that people will have just listened to, because it talks about living double lives, like living a digital life as compared to an actual physical space. And especially with COVID right now, and us not being able to see each other, like, a lot of people operate only digitally, like only over the internet.
God,
so
Steve, you're bringing some good points.
So I'm saying I don't know. I think I would rather upload myself digitally to embrace the possibilities, because I personally don't think that there's an afterlife. So I am afraid of death, and I don't want to die. So I would just stay as long as I can online. If it fucking sucks, then it sucks, and that would suck.
What do you call it? You're an what do you call that? Like, in the technology world, it's like you're an early bird. Basically, you try out the products fast. That's how
you're like a fucking
Steve
beta.
is. That's what Steve is.
But so,
I'm like late.
Yeah.
Like iPhone 5 still, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You need to see it tested
not that bad
before you jump into it.
Yes.
Well, so I was about to say that's the thing. That's why the question is hard. And I love your answers. Because basically in essence, what you're choosing between is the uncertainty, but in Steve's case, the certainty of death and nothingness, or the certainty of some sort of continuation, but not knowing what that is. It could be it could be heaven, or it could be hell. But either way, once you sign that, you're stuck.
I was thinking it was the opposite way when you explained that.
No, in this hypothetical, you're either guaranteeing your continuation, but in a way that you can't even comprehend what it'll be like, and you're entirely rolling the dice. Because that's, as someone who, I'm so sorry that you guys had fun and then I just took it to this. but as someone who really struggles with dissociation and a lot of things about my mental health, and has this deep fear of losing my mind and what it would be like to have my mind pulled apart and stretched and ripped into pieces, I think, like, to me, I would choose the guaranteed nothingness than the possibility of, like, this digital space stretching me into something unfathomable and terrifying.
But why is
I
it
think
guaranteed
that's-
nothingness? I'm confused about that.
It's- well,
You
no, no,
said
I'm
it
saying
is possible
as-
if there's an afterlife.
It's perceived nothingness.
As for someone who
Oh, because
leans
of your
more toward-
beliefs.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
I
but
thought
again,
you meant in general as the whole conversation.
No.
You know-
I was saying I originally was going to say that, but then
And then you
I
changed
opened it. I opened it up to you
Yes.
can interpret it how you want. But if you
Yeah,
are
I
going
like
to
that.
say, if you are going to say that you'll choose the dying, I want to know your thoughts. I already know that Coulter doesn't believe in an afterlife in that sense. So, and I know Steve. I don't know as much about you in that sense, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I'm atheist.
You know,
I figured.
you know, one thing to
But-
think about as well, building off of something that you kind of just said, Sean, about the unknown is
Actually, I guess to be more agnostic. Sorry.
in the
I believe in
event,
the possibility.
Me too.
in the event that it was possible to upload our consciousness to some kind of like internet or intranet,
Mhm.
odds are someone is pulling the strings. So you may have just signed away yourself to fucking mine cryptocurrency for all of eternity.
100. So
which
that's
is in itself hell.
dude.
if
Well,
you
I was
think
about to
about
say.
it.
I was about to say that's a very good point because the reality is the question was uploaded to the internet, a digital space where man is God, like
Which is the
man,
fact. I mean, man is in control of this.
is
digital
in
space.
control
It has
of
to
this
be.
reality. So you're forfeiting your entire existence and tying it to that. You know what I mean? Now that's not to say again, who knows what power, because we are really focusing on the negative here, but who knows what you might be able to control from that. You know, again, think of her, think of whatever. But yeah, it's
Ex
just-
machina.
It's just a whole, you know what? It's just a whole fucking separate set of rules that we have to play by that we don't know about until we're there.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question was definitely like certain unknown, spiritual unknown versus digital unknown.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
base of the question.
Yeah.
Well, that was heavy.
Yes.
Fucking, I'll drink to that.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, shit, you
Sean,
know.
what are you doing?
All right, Jenna, can you make me smile instead of think about death?
Jenna's is fun. Who would win in a fight? A taco?
Okay.
7 horse-sized ducks or 500 duck-sized horses? No, sorry. Go ahead.
The horses.
So would you rather, right? Okay. So would you rather that every time you use GPS, a serial killer is notified of your location,
Oh.
or every time you log into social media, a demon possesses you for an hour and it can do whatever it wants?
I fucking love it.
You bitch.
Because those are, I knew it. I fucking knew it, dude. Because I was like, Sean cannot drive to fucking 7-Eleven without a GPS. I was like, you're gonna fucking hit him with it. You're gonna hit him so hard with it.
I was about to say, did you just say let's fuck Sean's life up? Because yeah, I am the most geographically challenged person in the world, and my entire
the green is the water, right?
my entire career. God damn it! Turn right here, The Office. Just dude,
It's just fucking right in the water. God
and
damn.
my entire like quote unquote career, what I'm building is based off of social media.
Exactly.
Oh God.
I said that. I was like, and he's also a TikTok whore right now. So
Maybe you would get famous from the possession videos. Well, maybe it wouldn't record itself.
It'd
I'm
be,
gonna have
you
to
know,
think
it'd
about
be
it.
so overly saturated. All these demons, they're just out for one thing, man. He
Yeah.
ain't gonna be nothing new if a demon's possessing him and putting out content. Everyone's gonna have that same content.
They get
It's
an
a hard
hour.
one, man. It's a hard. They get an hour of free reign.
I would say GPS.
I would say
because
GPS.
whenever I'm going somewhere, whenever I go somewhere that needs GPS, it's normally long. So I'm going far away. Not it doesn't need to be far away, but hopefully further away. Does it count? So this is very unique to me, but does it count for like train connections? So like I technically not for driving, but I use GPS whenever I'm going somewhere new in New York City and I have to figure out what trains take me where. Would that
Then
count?
yes, that would
Yeah, you're
that
using it
definitely
to-
counts.
Yeah,
And you're on a
using
train. You're trapped. There's already
Yeah.
fucking serial killers on that train. You're
Son
trapped,
of
bro.
Sam's
Yeah,
coming
dude.
back.
You're gonna stand right
I
next to
don't
one.
know.
Son of Sam is gonna. Next time you sit next to somebody and they smell like milk, fucking run, dude. You gotta run, dude.
Just
that makes
talking
it
to
tougher.
dogs.
because it
does. God, what a fucking loser!
I think I would probably just talking to dogs. I think I would probably still do the GPS. I would just try to not use GPS as much.
You'd get really good at fucking learning directions.
Yeah.
Do they print maps anymore?
Yeah,
you
they
can.
Do.
No one really does it, but you can.
There's subway map. I mean, you can go into a subway station and figure out where you need to go just by
this
looking
bitch
at a
don't
map,
know about
so.
Pangea.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think I'm on social media way too much just in general. I would be possessed the whole day. What's the point?
Yeah.
At that point?
I was gonna make it a half hour, but I changed it to an hour.
No, that's tough. That's a toughie.
I think because I don't even know because I only mentioned that difference because I don't know if a half hour make a difference for any of you.
Dude, well, a demon could fuck up your entire world in 5 minutes. Those guys are dicks.
You know how easy it is now to just fucking ruin your entire life?
Yeah, man.
They would have a field day with that nonsense.
You're telling me that a demon has access to my social media? Bro, I'm scared of Coulter having access to my social media.
You don't want it. Trust me, you don't want it, man.
Coulter, you go next.
Honestly, I would probably have to go for the serial killer with the GPS because honestly, I kind of want a challenge. So, like,
oh my gosh, Mr. Dark Souls wants a challenge.
Fucking 1v1 me any fucking day. Son of Sam is a fucking punk. I'll beat that ass any day of the week.
He honestly was. He was like,
he sucked. He fucking sucks.
He was just a sneaker.
He was pathetic, dude. He was just an old school incel, man. That's all that was going on.
Yeah, that's fucking. You know what most of them were.
Yeah. My answer is going to have to be GPS. I am going to struggle.
That's very surprising.
Well, no, but here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. The reality is I don't like leaving my fucking house, and I at least know how to get to the goddamn bathroom most of the time. And I, you know what I mean? Like with the GPS thing, as terrible as I am, at least that's like, okay, I just have a new challenge to go against my natural whatever. But people lived without GPS forever, and I can figure it out. As stupid as I am, I can figure it out.
Dude, if this was the 1800s, you would have been fucking... you would have had an arrow in the head a long time.
But it's 2021.
Rome, dude. It's fine.
It's 2021, and the reality is you cannot exist as any sort of a creator without embracing social media. It's just, it doesn't matter. You can't just make art anymore. You can't just make stuff anymore. Like that is so few and far between. You have to become a brand in yourself and sell more than your art, or no one gives a shit because there's so much art. So like the only reason that my sales do well, and they don't even do that well, if you want to check the links in my TikTok, but the only reason is because people think, like, people watch a video of me saying something that they think is funny on TikTok or, you know, whatever. And because I'm bombarding them on social media, that they go, oh, and he does art, and that's cool. And then I sell a print, you know. I would be fucked without social media.
Hey, even Banksy has social media, and no one even knows who
no one even knows who that fucking guy is.
It's probably not Banksy if you really think about it. That's
his
the
team.
genius.
His team
That's the
runs
genius.
I just want to know really quick.
Unknown man's unknown team. Unknown person's unknown.
Would you change your mind if it was for 5 minutes? Because you all said GPS. So if a demon possesses you for 5 minutes.
But you're saying a demon.
Jenna, that's 1/3 of Sean's total fame, man. 5 minutes to 15 minutes, that's a big deal.
Evil Dead, the remake. Mia took 30 seconds to slice her tongue in half and say some, we are the ones that were and shall be again. I'm mixing movies there, but the point is a demon could do a lot of damage in 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the GPS. It's a very good question, but for me, it is an easy answer as much as it sucks. You definitely backed me in a corner, rocking a hard place, and I chose the hard place.
Yeah. I would also do GPS. I mean, I like, you know, like watching videos, and I make videos for a living. So how do you separate the two?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that would be bad, really.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole life would be demonized, even if it was 5 minutes, even if it was, okay, maybe not a minute, but 5 minutes, definitely. That makes a whole difference in my day.
Yeah.
And I'd rather risk the GPS thing. I can learn things. Like I can, you know, start to memorize, like really focus on that skill that people, like our parents at the time probably had, you know?
Yeah. Imagine, I'm sorry, Steve, go.
Not only that, it's just like, I would go on social media, get possessed by Payman for like 5 minutes and do some weird hand shit. And then I'd go back on Twitter, dude.
No,
like,
but
I just couldn't help it.
But also you're being so like, okay, you wake up like this, like it sucks. God, I got a crink in my neck. But dude, I'm
but
talking
you don't know what happened.
Well, right, but what if
That's the thing? You're like,
you go on,
so then,
boom,
leave
you
your
log
body.
into Facebook,
Like, that
you
was
wake
fucking
up,
weird.
you're butt ass naked, and the house is on fire around you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, God forbid you were with somebody and their throat is slit, or you're holding a severed head. And they're a demon. They're from hell. Those guys are not the super cool. They're not chill, dude. They don't have chill vibes, man.
So basically, you're telling me you'd rather be the killer than the killee, right?
No,
that's backwards.
No, what the fuck?
That's backwards.
Rather be the victim. Rather have the chance to be the victim.
Yes.
Than the chance to
be a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what
anything.
I'm saying is, I was about to say we're moving towards a digital space, and one of them, the future is going in one direction, and I basically, because realistically, if it was the demon thing, I would just. You're asking whether or not I would choose social media or GPS in essence. And I choose social media over GPS because ultimately I'm not going to want to suffer either consequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Brandon said, you put the dukes up for the serial killer.
That's what you do, man. Fucking,
you know, not
Jack
again.
Johnson and fucking Tim O'Leary.
You know,
God.
It's so funny because I Jenna, I truly think it was a good question, but I feel like there's so many people listening. Like that was the easiest fucking like GPS versus. But I disagree, and I would say it's a
Sean
very
is,
and I know how heavily you rely on GPS.
Sean throws the wrench into the mix. The tens of people listening right now would probably go with these the fucking
whatever, man. Also, I want to say, because I didn't clarify and I don't think I specifically answered, but for my question, I would choose the certainty of death. And I realized I didn't answer that.
You know what, Steve, if he had posed this question, let's do 5 minutes, because when you read that off the bat, you might think 5 minutes is nothing, but then you don't realize how, habitual social media is. So we take that time. Let's take that time limit down. Let's take it to 5, because that still didn't change anybody's mind.
Should there be repercussions for kind of abusing that though? Like it extends itself after a while, or
every time you get on social media it's 5 minutes
every day, every single time you get on it, it's 5 minutes longer.
No,
it's just 5 minutes. Yeah, exactly. It's just 5 minutes.
Dude, I was about to say,
I just
5 minutes.
I think it'd be
30
so
seconds
cool.
to transition.
The damage that could be done in 5 minutes.
Irreparable
to your
Absolutely
body,
irreparable.
to your even as something as simple as you wake up and oh my God, I broke my TV, both of my monitors, all my shit. You know what I mean? It's a demon. Those guys are dicks.
Yeah.
They don't got any chill, man. I watched Constantine twice in the last week. They got no chill.
Right.
They don't. Well,
interesting. Good.
That was a good game. Those were 4 good questions.
Yes.
We will definitely have to do this again.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because those all came from different spaces.
Yeah, they did.
Which was really neat.
That was so fun.
That was awesome. So for everyone listening to this, thank you for listening. This will be at the end of episode 7. So check out next week, episode 8, coming out on Monday. And Brandon and Jenna, thank you guys for being a part of this.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we will definitely have you back.
Yes, I would love that.
Super, super fun. Thank you guys for listening, and check out next week's episode when it comes out.